Good morning. My name is Hannah Sheridan, and I'm a senior English major with an enthusiasm for creative writing, and that is one of the reasons I am standing in front of you today. Today's Convocation speaker is Dara Moskowitz Grumdahl, a Carleton graduate from the class of '92 and one of America's most awarded nonfiction magazine writers. Her accomplishments include 15 James Beard Award nominations, 6 of which she went on to win. She has also won 5 CRMAs for her work writing about local notables, from art forgers to croissant whisperers, and her work has been included in 9 editions of the Best Food Writing in America anthologies. She currently is a staff writer at Mpls.St.Paul Magazine, and her work has appeared in Gourmet, Appetit, Food and Wine, Travel and Leisure, and many other publications. Whether you want tips on how to enjoy a glass of the finest Pinot Noir, which she outlines in her book, Drink This, Wine Made Simple, or if you're looking for the best fish fry spot in Minneapolis, Dara is the person to call. She moved from New York City to Minnesota after she visited and fell in love with Carleton. During her first years here, she also fell in love with Minnesota. She writes about her early experiences camping with her college friends, accidentally burning pizzas in the fire, and terrified of non-existent murderers in the woods. But she also writes about the wonder of watching the lemon sun cresting the horizon, her heart fast as a hummingbird's, her fingers ice, foundational experiences she continues to draw on in her journalistic work. Dara would like you to know that in the 1990s, it was very popular for students to disparage Carleton by saying, "Camp Carleton, it's not the real world." This joke is alive and well. I myself have talked with my friends about the unreality of living in a place that keeps you fed and watered, where all of your friends are a 5-minute walk away, and where your only job is to learn as much as you can in the short time you are given. After several years of absence, Dara has discovered her true reply to this Carleton witticism is, "That's right, it's much better than the real world." Without further ado, please welcome back to Carleton College foodie, critic, and author Dara Moskowitz Grumdahl.
Class reunion photos, but now I don't have to share the space with anybody. I'm just unchained. All right, I just couldn't be more thrilled about this. I was not nervous until Wednesday. I put this up on Facebook, and all of a sudden I heard from 1 million Carleton grads, and I thought, oh my God, everyone's listening. And so they're just my favorite people. The 4 years that I spent here were just some of the happiest in my life. I love it here. I couldn't be more thrilled. And that's why I have come to bring you the bad news about authenticity. This lecture is called "Authenticity is an Absolute Sham, but Authenticity is the Only Thing We Have. Notes from the Authenticity Wars." All right, so I am here to tell you a long, strange story about how I found myself first on the sidelines of, and then deep inside, the recent, unremarked authenticity wars, and how I came to realize that the whole concept of authenticity, as it is used in pop culture today, is a complete and utter crock. A complete crock, which is also threatening to strangle babies in their beds and might actually be a present danger to you Carleton students before me in the chapel right now. Also, I have become completely convinced that authenticity is the only thing we have. How can this be? It's a complicated mess, which is exactly the sort of situation for which you need a critic. I am a critic. People are so uncomfortable with the notion of criticism, with the idea of critics in this day and age, but not me. I've been a restaurant critic, a wine critic, now and then an art critic, a book critic, even a theater critic, since about 10 minutes after I catapulted out of this wonderful place, having trained at a little arts and culture magazine called Currency, which we ran at the basement of Sales Hill, and I think I have the only copies of. They're in my basement in a file cabinet. They're fantastic. I worked with Jonathan Capehart, TV star. He wrote columns. We all did stuff in the basement. We listened to CDs, which were silvery things. All right. Today, I do my criticism mainly as a newspaper and magazine writer, particularly at Minneapolis-St. Paul, great local magazine. But criticism, not in vogue right now. People always say things like, we must silence our inner critic. No way, wouldn't have a roof over my head. People say, everyone hates a critic. This is a true story. One time, I was getting a massage, and I was like in a spa, and this healer empath lady, and she was like, let's get grounded, repeat after me. Everyone hates a critic. I was like, no, I don't hate critics. They're some of my best friends, and this is not relaxing. So I'm just staggered that I'm giving a convo. This is like the Carleton EGOT plus biathlon of having graduated from Carleton. I am so Carleton. I spent my freshman year at Nourse and my sophomore year at Davis, and I fell in love at Hill House, and then I cured hangovers with bad French fries at Sales Hill. I think about the whole, like, people used to call it Camp Carleton all the time, and I would walk around, I would be like, I come from AIDS and crack and domestic violence, New York City. This is Camp Carleton. It's way, way better than the real world. And that is how a critic is born. You have critical thoughts, you walk around, people argue with you, you're like, oh, I'm gonna grow up and be a real critic. And little was I aware that one day I'd return to Carleton to talk about authenticity and absolute crock. Okay, so my journey to understanding how the concept of authenticity has evolved in such monstrous ways. It started pretty soon after I graduated from Carleton, moved up to Minneapolis with my Carleton boyfriend, and started working as a critic as a lark. If no one has told you, you should do more things as a lark, because sometimes they work out and people give you money and awards and they fly you to Barcelona for dinner. Oh, that's how it worked out for me. But that's not how it started. It started as I always wanted to be a writer, so I started writing. I was earning like literally $5, $15 a story. $5 back in my day was basically what $5 is today. We were broke. And one day, someone said, like, we'll give you $50 to write a story plus free dinner. That was an offer I could not refuse. Me and my basic requirements for protein, we could not refuse it. So that's how I became a restaurant critic. And I got my first James Beard Award for restaurant criticism, and I wore my ragstock dress to the podium, and they put this huge medal around my neck, and I said, am I Flavor Flav? So I brought these. You can see they are so heavy. So I brought all 6 of them. They've never left my house before. You can come take selfies with them after if you want. They're not doing me any good. They're doing me plenty of good. All right, so I was like on the podium. Am I Flavor Flav? Not one joke, not one laugh, nothing. People just mad. All right, so because it was a 1990s hip hop reference, and no one thought it was funny, except Jonathan Gold, who is just a wonderful critic, and he died tragically young. But that night we went out, and I made a friend forever. And he told me a lot of important things about criticism and being a restaurant critic. So when I got back to Minnesota, I said, this has been fun, but I'm feeling pretty critical of criticism. It is not providing me with enough money for health insurance and some other stuff I want, like a future. So probably time we part as friends. So long, thanks for all the fish, the fried fish and the curried fish, the raw fish, all of it. Up my city page's bosses said, not so fast. No. Do you think you can criticize wine? If so, we can give you a salary and give you health insurance. And I said, oh, I feel really critical about wine all of a sudden. So that journey to teaching myself how to be critical of wine, that became my wine book, Drink This, Wine Made Simple. And I won a bunch of awards, thus vaulting me into the level of society where people try to fill the hole in their heart with money and awards, which can never be done. And then you meet everyone who's running things, and they're trying to fill the holes in their heart with money and awards, and it is a hot mess. But that is not what this story is about. This story is going to ramp up to me being critical, a mean critic who knows a lot of different words for sweet, which such as honeyed and saccharin, and they mean different things in food. Now, I'm going to say a few things about wine and restaurant criticism, about which I am an authority. One of the things I know is that no one really knows what a restaurant critic does, except other restaurant critics. Some people seem to think that a restaurant critic is like a panel of Olympic diving judges. It's like 9.3 for that plate of pasta carbonara, 9.6. The Finnish judge gave it 9.9, even though we all saw that pasta carbonara made a little splash as it entered the pool. And other people seem to think that a restaurant critic is like the great and powerful Oz before Toto got to pulling back the curtain. Just some kind of omniscient being who knows the true history and qualities of pasties from the Iron Range, pasties from Cornwall, Trinidad doubles, pad thai, croissants, pasta puttanesca, yuzu sorbet, curry bratwurst, and every single thing that anyone's ever put in their mouth in a restaurant. Perfect connoisseurship. Omniscient, all-knowing. No, this is not how it works. What a restaurant critic, wine critic, any critic of anything in the world, theater critic, book critic, this person is simply a writer in communication with her community. You say a thing, your community says a thing back. They may say something back explicitly in the form of an email or a phone message. They may say something implicit by ignoring you and telling their friends that you're full of it. So, whatever is going on, you are in communication with your community about a thing. In my maturity, I now do a lot of travel writing and feature writing, and I gotta tell you, sometimes I feel like I am just a critic of people or a critic of places. Like, it's just whatever I'm doing, but I'm always writing. I'm having my personality come through the page. I'm having my personality come through the phone or, face to face with a human being to get their inner secrets. Like, it's just a conversation. That's what a writer really is, and what a critic really is. It's just a person engaging with other people. All right, so realistically, as a restaurant critic in the Twin Cities, which is the 16th biggest metropolitan area in the country, and is really not that much smaller than San Francisco, which is the 13th biggest, what you do as a critic is I go to a restaurant, and it gives me a basic feeling of, oh, this is delicious, or oh, this is fun, or oh, the entire town is here. And then I contact the owner or the chef, and I say, what is going on here? What am I tasting? What are you up to? Because I don't know everything about the fried pizza of Naples or the, chickpea traditions of Sri Lanka. So I talk to people, and then I, knowing what my audience knows, and I try to translate, and then I try to tell readers in the most interesting and amusing way possible what's going on around them and what people are up to. Sometimes I think my entire life, not just my career, but my whole life is like that old Sesame Street song, "These are the people in your neighborhood." In your neighborhood. Okay, that's as far as I'm gonna go because I am so bad at singing that if I did that, the chapel would be struck by lightning. And that's why it's so great that Convo is my EGOT, because I'm getting it anyway with no singing. But anyway, it's a very human need to want to know who are the people in your neighborhood and to have that answer delivered by someone who is funny and fun and also very critical, so you don't end up somewhere boring having bad wine and pasta carbonara that splashes as it enters the pool. Now, wine criticism is a little different than restaurant criticism. It is not just who are these people in your neighborhood, what are they trying to do, it's what's in this bottle and does it reflect what the people are trying to accomplish, people that made it. People making wine are invariably, by and large, up to either one or two things. The one thing that everyone is up to is they're just trying to make some money from agriculture, just like they're making peanut butter, orange juice, whatever. That's the one thing. The second thing that some winemakers are trying to do is where things get interesting, and I think really interesting, profound, super interesting. The second thing a winemaker will be trying to do is to express terroir. Terroir, I'm going to define it. I love this idea. It's a wonderful idea. It's profound, it's subtle, it's poetic. The idea of terroir is that which comes from this particular plot of land expresses all of the moments that this land has experienced over its agricultural season and many moments in its past. So a bit of land in Napa Valley up in the hills. Growing Zinfandel, the land gets sunbeams and rain. The grape roots plow through sandstone and old lava. Wild rosemary grows between the rows. Eucalyptus crowns the hills. The winemaker has some vision in her mind about what she wants the grapes to be harvested at, how sweet, so they're not more raisiny or more tart. And all of this kind of comes together, what was going on with the land, what was going on with the sun, what was going on with the nature of Zinfandel, what the winemaker is trying to do, that's terroir. So it's the sunshine, the rain, the rosemary and volcanic soil, the age of the roots, the intention and action of the winemaker. You can taste all of it in a glass. So the wine criticism is you get a message in a bottle, and it's telling you about life and land and time and intention. And in some ways, it's very simple because not one thing happened in that little plot of land that isn't in the end captured in the bottle of wine. And in some ways, it is the most complex thing that we have. It's time captured. All right. I have now set up what we're talking about. We got restaurant criticism. These are the people in your neighborhood. We got wine criticism. This is time and intention in a bottle. We have now set the stage for my great enemy, my loathed enemy, authenticity, to enter the chat. Here comes trouble. All right, so as I mentioned, to be critical critic of restaurants, you mainly talk to people. To be a critical critic of wines, you also do that. You add in like experiencing moments and intention and time. So in my conversation-led life of restaurant criticism, I had a lot of conversations with a lot of people at a lot of things, and I discovered that as humans, we seem to be primates who direct a lot of energy into dividing the world into groups of our friends and groups of outsiders who might be our enemies. And I ended up hearing a fair amount of weird racism, especially from restaurant owners directed at rival restaurants. So that is not a Chinese restaurant because those are Vietnamese people. And that is not a Thai restaurant. Those people grew up in California. That is not a French restaurant. Those people are Greek. So in sum, over many years, I would just hear it as, I am good, my rivals are bad. I tried to pay not too much attention because I just thought, I am not here to listen to or hear about the bad people over there. I'm here to write about you. If I ever do get around to writing about those bad people, I will actually ask them what they're up to, and they will tell me they are the good people. And this problem will be solved because serial conversation through my community will keep my hands clean. But if you spend too much time on Twitter, as I have, then you know the meme, I never thought the tiger would eat my face, says person who stood passively by, watching the rise of the tigers eating people's faces party. So darned if this incessant chatter of those people bad, my people good, darned if it didn't, in fact, rear up and try to eat my face in the form of claims, aspersions, and angry anger about authenticity. That's not authentic dim sum. That's not authentic Korean. That's not authentic Mexican. It's not authentic Thai. That's not authentic Vietnamese. And I found myself mired in a morass of everyone calling everyone inauthentic, and my email box and my phone messages, and the whole town ran over with rage. And that was how I came to realize that we were in an authenticity war, an authenticity crisis, and that something must be done. So, what could be done about it? I could give this convo. Welcome. So, we are here to drive a stake through this vampire once and for all. And we're gonna tie garlic around his neck, bury it in the sunshine, sprinkle holy water, all the things. Because there is no such thing as authenticity in food and restaurants, the way that is meant. If there were an actual, authentic Chinese or Thai or Italian food, it would follow the rules of terroir. It would be in and of a place. It would be the product of a series of geographically, agriculturally, and culturally rooted moments. If this authentic restaurant was Thai, we would be talking about Thai fish swimming through Thai bays where the seaweed is fragrant with whatever Thai seaweed is fragrant with, and then the little fish would nibble it, and then they would gain that fragrance, and then Thai people would pull it up on the deck, and the Thai winds would go through, and then the fish would taste of the Thai boat decks, and the Thai people would be paying Thai taxes, and they would be driving on Thai roads, and they would have Thai cultural immersion in what they were all up to, and nothing would ever need explaining or dumbing down or anything whatsoever. And that would be an authentic Thai restaurant. And another authentic Thai restaurant would be the Thai Mexican place down the street, and the Thai Italian joint, and the Thai burger stand. All of those would be authentic Thai restaurants. Meanwhile, if you are at a Thai restaurant in Burnsville, that would also be authentic. It would be an authentic Thai restaurant in Burnsville, authentic to the ingredients that were growing there, the cultural expression of the person who is cooking the food, the milieu and fragrances of Burnsville. That's what would be going on. That would be an authentic restaurant, because what is authenticity? The whole thing is just like a keep-away game. All right, so there's this truism in restaurant culture, restaurant criticism. There is no such thing as Chinese food. In the same way, there is no such thing as a Chinese phone number. Chinese food is a million things, depending on a million chefs and a million restaurants, a million towns. Everything that is being eaten by somebody in China is Chinese food. That's all of it. And the same thing for German food, the same thing for, wacky fusion sandwiches in New York City that have Cheetos in them. So that doesn't mean that anyone is on my team, except maybe you people, because what was going on is that everybody is still yelling at everyone about being authentic, that they're not authentic. And so what do they actually mean when they're calling people inauthentic, authentic, it's fake, it's whatever? This is a statement about nostalgia, power, and control. So what someone is saying, that's not an authentic Italian restaurant. They are saying, I have a thing inside my head and you don't fit in. I cast you out of my imaginary head thing because my imaginary head thing is going to rule your present day, and your endeavor is fake. That which lives inside my head is real, authentic. So I have found this concept of authenticity in food and restaurants particularly repellent and intolerable because it is particularly targeted at young people. when I talk about the concept of authenticity strangling babies in their beds, the babies I am referring to are in their 20s and 30s, and they're baby restaurateurs, and they're trying to do their thing, and everybody just stands around and says that, like, oh, you didn't grow up in Korea, you grew up in San Bernardino, therefore your life is invalid. Well, that is wrong and annoying and unjust, and I find it morally bad and just constant. Everyone is constantly doing this. Anytime you look at Yelp reviews, anytime you weigh in on restaurants in any function, someone will show up and say, is that authentic? I judge it not to be authentic. It's like we play this cultural game of rock, paper, scissors, but then authentic is the one that goes over everything, and then you can't say anything back because you're fighting someone's mind's eye, their idea of what that is. All right, so that's one universe in which authenticity is under devastating, constant attack. There is another authenticity that is also very, very bad, and this authenticity is happening in social media. So on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, particularly in the places where young women are found, authenticity is constantly extolled. It's the gold standard for brands. It's what everyone craves. It's the only thing anyone trusts. You've got to bring your authentic self. Well, enough people have now heard this, and it's gone on for long enough, that a sham authenticity rules everywhere. Literally popped onto Instagram yesterday, 31 million hashtags live authentic. Most of the live authentic hashtags are women with vixen eyes or doe eyes or both in bikinis lying on the side of very posh pools. Swimming pools are the #1 place to be authentic. So authenticity in this particular toxic, horrible world is a style. It's a style that is pretending to be real. And it's a particular kind of pretend real. It's a particular effortless. You're effortless. Like, that's what authentic is in the inside of social media. So, what is authenticity on social media? Is it a person with an eating disorder pretending that she woke up next to the pool? Like, how is that? How have we let that spread? How have we let that be a thing? Authenticity on social media is a yoga teacher getting to a deserted beach 2 hours before dawn so they can defend their little patch of sand against other yoga teachers, and then they brought a tripod and a girlfriend and a long lens, and so they can just pretend that they have a life where they're constantly doing yoga at dawn on the beach. Like, I hate all of this. And this kind of fake authenticity is another attack on authenticity. The American Psychological Association says that in our age of Instagram and TikTok, the rate of 12 to 17-year-olds experiencing major depression has increased by 52% after social media came into our lives. I'm telling you this because my 15-year-old daughter doesn't want to hear it. I tell her all the time, and she says, nope, not true. But 60% of the users of TikTok in the US are under 24. There was this fascinating research study where researchers put together fake profiles pretending to be 13-year-old girls, and they waded into TikTok, and they were served eating disorder content within half an hour of showing up. And then they were served eating disorder content tens of thousands of times over the next month. And so there's so much eating disorder content on TikTok and Instagram that there are established ways of getting around the filters, different special tags named after Ed Sheeran or things like that. Like, it's scary. It's scary stuff. And when I say that authenticity is a war zone right now, like, this is kind of what I mean. So it's like, what is authenticity in the year 2023? Is it a marketing strategy for nostalgia, power, and control? Is it eating disorder by a pool? Like, what is authenticity? If authenticity is a hall of mirrors that doesn't mean anything good anymore, if it's a sham and a scam and all of that, well, actually, I think this is more than bad. I think this is really bad. I think we need to think about it, because if everything about being authentic and being still with yourself and being, doing the stuff that people have been doing since, the days of Jesus Christ, the days of Thoreau, whatever you want to say, if authenticity is closed to us because we are reasonably self-protective and don't want to go where there's a scam, what does that mean for us? Like, what does that mean if authenticity is just this hostile thing that we discard? Does that mean that we should just set fire to everything around us? Should we just plow all the fields into the streams because none of this matters? There's no reason to make ourselves vulnerable to that which is present and that which doesn't have marketing and that which isn't valued by the society. I mean, if, real authenticity is not a thing that's going to get you money, and it's not going to get you likes, then why should anyone do it if it's just like this toxic fake things? I mean, I know that the whales and the hummingbirds are authentically using all of this right now, but like, what if we don't like it? What if it's bad? Because what if all of authenticity is just phony and dangerous, and all of this has been going on? So I would like to make a stand, make a cry, make a movement for some real authenticity that is not part of this phony shell game. Because if we actually were going to care about what's authentic, we would have to do a lot of things differently. We would have to be like, well, all of this unromantic stuff, we're eating burritos in our TV rooms, they're from Trader Joe's, we don't have a story, our bodies are blumpity and lumpity, and we don't have definitive conclusions, and what if that's authentic? Like, what if that stuff that has no value in the culture is the authentic stuff? And what if you're authentic and your lives are authentic and the sunshine and the birdsong and the moments that don't mean anything and your comfortable boots and all of the terroir of the expression of you, as an apple tree makes apples, your universe has made you. What if the terroir of you, the moments of you, the authenticity of you, what if that's the only thing that matters? What if that's the thing that we are now being clawed away from as authenticity becomes this messed up, distorted thing? So I did this thing, which is maybe weird, but I was thinking about how difficult it is to be, 18 to 22 in today's world, and how, you go on Instagram and everybody's, doing yoga at sunrise on a mountain peak or, a millionaire through, drinking champagne. And, how do you say that, like, the most valuable thing is just being your authentic self? So I went into my brain and I pulled out some American heroes who were literally doing nothing worth looking at when they were 18 to 22. Andy Warhol, just a Czech immigrant kid living with his dad and mom. His dad moved couches for a living. He was a house mover. He was doing nothing in Pittsburgh in his important formative years. Toni Morrison, just the bookish third daughter of a welder living in an Ohio apartment. Anne Sexton, the poet, basically just a rich kid daughter of successful people who partied a lot. Hung Chow, one of my favorite actors right now, she didn't act till she was 26. At 18, Oprah could not have been more of a nobody. So what I want you to take away from this is that, you know, all these American superstars, there's people I love, Andy Warhol, Hung Chow, Toni Morrison, Oprah, when they were 18, 19, 20, nothing visibly special was happening. They would look terribly inadequate on Instagram or TikTok. Their authentic selves were just not ready for marketing. So I really just want to talk about all of the moments, sort of for any of us, and some of them are uncomfortable, and some of them are unremarkable, and maybe little things that just didn't matter. You were just sitting on a little table and, you know, the sunshine was coming in. Or maybe you were slammed into a wall and you ran out of the room. Or maybe you were, you know, falsely accused of plagiarism, which seems to be a smart kid life story that happens a lot. You know, all of these things, I really wish for you to be able to kind of sit with them, because real authenticity, you know, your true self, it's kind of boring. It's kind of hard to achieve. It's when you get quiet and you find out what's inside of you, about what's hard about being you and what's interesting about being you, what sparks your curiosity, what makes you mad, like all of that stuff. And that real authenticity is the only thing that any of us actually have. So I have interviewed a lot of famous people, so get ready for some name dropping, because it's going to come in a tsunami. You know, for magazine stories, I have interviewed Idris Elba, Jennifer Hudson, Ricky Martin, John Leguizamo, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Jada Pinkett Smith, Kate DiCamillo, Martin Amis, and just hundreds and hundreds more. If you ask me how I have been able, through all of this time, to get good, meaningful, insightful stories from them, I would say it's because I spent so much quiet time by myself, delving into the authentic me. I've got trauma to speak from and listen with. I've got patience for human foibles, because I am up to here, stuffed to the lid with human foibles, and I am aware of it. And people can feel authenticity coming at them. They can feel it coming at them through the phone. They can feel it bubbling up from the page. They can feel it in every which way. And people respond to real human authenticity, real time spent with yourself, with their own real authenticity. So, I am here at this pulpit to tell you to renounce that demon authenticity and take up the true path, authenticity. And I've given this a lot of thought, and it's like, how can you tell the good authenticity that I'm talking about from the bad authenticity that is, like, you know, coming at you? I think I have figured out the one thing that is the difference. The bad authenticity, which is a crock, is being bestowed on you from the outside, and it can be taken away. It's a judgment applied by others. It's an external assignment of value. So if someone says, like, you're an authentic French chef, they can then decide to take that away from you. They can find some flaw. You were born in Turin, who knows, you can be taken away from you. If you are authentically always the chillest girl on the hotel pool, that can be taken away from you, because you can experience stress or illness, and then people will move on to the other chillest girl. So bad authenticity is a judgment applied from outside. Good authenticity comes slowly, way too slowly, from inside. And the good authenticity is yours forever. It's the good parts and the boring parts and the parts you don't know what to do with yet, and they are yours forever. And what I would like you to take away from this is that I've been thinking about this for a while now, and I realized that there's this huge battle going on over authenticity in this culture, and no one seems to see it but me. And it's like, why is everyone out there fighting for this thing that, to control it, to have it, to own it, to devalue it? Like, why? And I realized because if you can have your own authenticity, that is the one thing that no one can take away from you. That is a place you can stand where you're powerful and you're strong and you're unique and you matter. And so of course people want to take it away from you. It's the most valuable thing you have. That's why we have a culture-wide assault on authenticity. And so I would like you to walk out of here and say to yourself, authenticity. It's my key to valuing myself and my world. And it is something that I, the critical critic, had totally taken for granted until a street brawl broke out and I noticed that everyone was fighting for one of the most valuable, invisible things in the world. That's it. Thing that I believe in so profoundly. All right, so we're gonna have a Q&A. So you've got any questions? I will answer everything except what the price of the combo sushi plate at the nearest restaurant.
All right, and we are going to do Q&A. I just want to say a couple things. First off, thank you, Dara, for being here. That was outstanding, and I really want to know about that fried pizza thing at some point. But we want to keep the conversation going, number one, with Q&A in just a couple seconds. Secondly, however, we're going to keep the conversation going at the post-convocation luncheon with Dara at the AGH. We've had lots of RSVPs, so if you have RSVP'd, please join friend Beth, and she will be, there she is, heading over at noon-ish. However, we've had a great turnout, or a great RSVP experience. Nevertheless, there are a few seats left, so if you would like to join us, please talk to me, and we will hopefully fit you in.
I am a fun lunch. You should not miss this opportunity.
No, you should not. It will be chicken parm. There will be chicken parm. And then after that, at about 1:30 to 2:30 in the Laird Second Lounge, the conversation will continue, and I believe there will also be some type of snacks. I think they're from St. Paul. At any rate, let's move on with the Q&A, and who would like to start us out?
This is intoxicating. You're never going to get me out of this stage. I love it here.
Hi, I'm so excited to ask you this question because we were talking about authenticity. It's even hard to say in my narrative theory class the other day. And authenticity came up. This is with Susan Jarrett McKinstry, so, love her to death. And we were talking about what does it mean to be an authentic narrator or implied author, in particular if you are a man writing a woman, or you are a woman writing a man, or perhaps you are a white person trying to write a person of color. And what are the responsibilities and duties that an author has to do a good job in representing someone who has a different lived experience from them. And I'm just curious what maybe you think the place of authenticity is in literature. I don't know how to phrase that.
I could talk about this for 1,000 years. That is a great question. My whole life that has been contested territory. I think it's a really valuable exercise to try to imagine life through another person's eyes. I think that's what as humans, we're just kind of storytellers and narrative makers, and we're always trying to do that. I personally would rather eat ground glass than try to publish, something in the too much different, because you will just you would just get eaten alive. Charles Dickens, one of my great heroes. I love Charles Dickens. Read him all the time. The older you get, the more you start to see a lot of his women characters as kind of caricature hand puppets, and you do wonder what damage some of those caricature hand puppets have done, you know, to real women over time, and then you don't know what to do with that. So fake authenticity, you know, how you can speak to yourself, unreliable narrators who seem to have some kind of claim to authenticity, and then you discover later that they were not so reliable. All of that is just fascinating to me, and that's kind of my life's work. I love all of it. You know, I love it in Rick and Morty, and I love it in Dostoevsky. There's not a part of that kind of inhabiting other characters and thoughts and looking through other people's eyes. No part of it that's not fascinating to me. So there's no conclusion there. But I do think that that's one of the most exciting parts of being human, is just considering that and playing with it and seeing what it does for you.
In the column, the best things we ate last week, who takes the photographs?
That's the Star Tribune. That is not even my paper, so I would tend to guess somebody who works at the Star Tribune. I work for Minneapolis-St. Paul.
Hi, I'm Renee. I'm the director of the Office of Intercultural Life. You gotta bear with me, I'm still form this question. So you kind of in the realm of DEI work, we talk a lot about authenticity, right? And what it looks like for people, especially people from marginalized backgrounds and people from underrepresented backgrounds, to show up and feel a sense of belonging as their authentic selves. And so, you know, here at Carleton and the Division of Student Life, we talk a lot about, you know, how do we create an environment in which people can do that. So I wonder if anywhere in your work with the individuals that you've interviewed, or even these, you know, baby restaurateurs, kind of where have you seen or heard about kind of what are the conditions in which people really feel like they can be the good, the real kind of authentic, especially in the face, or you're constantly battling the fake authenticity from social media, or just from really kind of homogeneous environments?
Well, I think that the basic requirements to, you know, be your authentic self are safety and friendliness. You know, so what creates the conditions of safety and friendliness? You know, when you're opening a restaurant, it tends to be about economic security. I personally, as apparently a Marxist in this culture, feel that we would have a better world if we had universal health insurance. I feel like people would be able to be their authentic selves if they weren't constantly worried about crashing to the ground without a safety net. And I do wonder about the sort of off topic, but I was thinking about this on the way down, about how we're going to apparently bring back manufacturing to this country. It's like, oh, are we going to start providing health insurance for people then, so that we can compete with Europe and compete with places that have a saner system? So, you know, what I would say in terms of, you know, DEI, student life, navigating different identities, is that one of the things about authenticity is that it changes over time, right? So you may have a feeling when you're, you know, you may have a feeling when you're 16 that the most important thing is to, you know, to be accepted as a LGBTQ plus youth, right? And then you may integrate that into your world, and then you may feel at 22 that the most important thing is to, you know, find a community of venture capitalists who can, you know, help you, you know, with your vision of that which comes next. And so one of the things that I think that is most, that I'd just invite everyone to play with, is the idea that your authentic self changes. Like, one of the things that I do a lot is I read memoirs, because memoirs give you information about how people change. And some of the stuff that comes through is really interesting. Like you'll see, you know, Oprah. Oprah probably didn't realize that she was this, you know, turbocharged, totally armored, 24/7 super achiever, because she was trying to create a safe space for herself as a child surviving horrific abuse. Like she didn't realize that until she was 50. You know, so what do you do to make 18-year-old Oprah get to 50? You know, it's a different thing. A 25-year-old Oprah. And then, you know, Sarah Silverman, I think, is really interesting too. That's she has a, you know, did everything in the world to make herself the life of the party. She's the thickest skin, and, you know, she's high all the time, and, you know, she's a star. And then somewhere in there, it turns out like, well, this was all so that I wouldn't be made fun of as a late bedwetter as a child, you know? So it's like, what is your authenticity is part of you, your soul, your work, your karma, like whatever you want to call it, and it needs to be nurtured at all of those different stages so that you can be your whole self at all of your different stages.
I was just wondering, are there times when you choose to not be authentic or to be less authentic? I think about times when I talk to family or supervisors or strangers. I think that a lot of times it can be tempting to edit yourself in certain ways.
Absolutely. There, and I have kids. My oldest is now 17, and so I will literally just tell him, like, armor up. Like, you know, we're going in, we're gonna be aggressive, we're gonna be bristly, we're gonna get through. You know, I am from New York City, so it took me, you know, a fair piece of time till after I'd left Carleton to really be able to be my softer, authentic self and be safe, because, yeah, I have a full, you know, juggernaut mode of just like, you know, somebody can be mean to me and I can just turn around and just pretend that they're not there anymore. Like, you need to have a certain amount of that armor if you want to fight your way through this world. But, you know, if you do that all the time, if you do that to yourself, if you do that to your partner, if you do that to your kids, like, you have a less realized life. So yes, I without question, I can armor up and get things that I need, such as privacy or space, or, you know, stop someone dissing me. All that stuff is part of life too.
I'm curious. I am neurodivergent and went through special education services through elementary and middle school, and a lot of that involves just having your awkwardness and weirdness being responded to with universal dislike, particularly in elementary school. And I had felt that authenticity was standing up in the face of that bullying, essentially, and advocating for your interests. And then now I'm noticing there's a lot of performative weirdness almost stealing that from us without acknowledging the impacts. What are your feelings on performative weirdness?
Oh, that's really interesting. Well, first of all, I should say that I'm sorry that people bullied you as a kid and made you feel less than. That's sucky, and it kind of never goes away. I don't know that I have any particular. I'm groping inside my capacious mind, and I can't think that this is a new issue to me. I would encourage you to write, publish, or speak about this so I can learn from you. I really don't know. So thank you for bringing that idea to me.
Hi, I was hoping if you could talk about the transition from Carleton to the real world and authenticity in an academic university space versus authenticity outside of, you know, a small liberal arts college where everything is very idyllic. Yeah, I think I'll stop there.
I could talk about that also for 1,000 years. I love my time at Carleton. You know, I grew up in just all fighting New York City, and I've never some of my Carleton friends are still my best friends. And Carleton people are, to my mind, patient, kind, generous, in just ways that you do not experience in the rest of the world, and I just treasure it here. And now I'm going to tell you things you don't want to hear. Well, I moved from here up to the Twin Cities. I was a traffic hazard. I wept the entire way, back and forth about 4 times. I moved into an apartment building that was basically all not all of it, like it had like 6 Carleton apartments. It was like Steph Curtis, who now runs NPR, and Michael Tortorello, who big at Sahan Journal, and you know, librarians and doctors, and like Carleton people everywhere. And so I have been blessed to keep Carleton people close to me, and have benefited from Carleton my whole life. You know, like my super best friends, when the chips are down, I call my roommate from Davis, Erica, and she knows the things. You know, in terms of, you know, that transition, getting booted out of Carleton, or they call it graduating, is, you know, really hard. Like, you go from a place where people, I thought, genuinely cared about me, to a place where you are fighting for every scrap. And I was, you know, in my particular cohort, everybody kind of went to wonderful do-good jobs, and they got burned out after a year or two and realized they couldn't pay their rent, and then all of a sudden everybody became an attorney or a doctor or you know, went to grad school. And so that you know, the first 3 years outside of Carleton are difficult, and you have to make some real reckoning with the so-called real world. The so-called real world is expensive and inhospitable, and it's not a hard time, but I mean, not a hard time. It's not a fun time. It's a very hard time. But you will come out the other side, and everybody I know that graduated from Carleton, like, everything worked out great. Like, it's going to be a tough road. Keep your Carleton friends close, and you will be great at 27. And it is going to be scary. And it is, I will tell like, we have a lot of interns at the magazine, and I tell all of them, like, there is only one time in life where you can live like a puppy in a puppy mill happily. Like, you can just live with 7 people in a 3-bedroom apartment and think it's super fun, and that is when you're 21 to 25. So go do that. If you're kind of thinking, like, should I live in the Lower East Side with 9 people and 400 square foot? Yes, now you should do it. And then you will, when you get sick of it, then that will be the appropriate time to be done, because you can't do it at 40 when you have a kid. So.
We have one more question we have time for.
If I understand correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're attributing a lot of the authenticity crisis to social media. So I'm wondering if you have thoughts on what to do about the source of the problem.
Oh, great question. I do not know what to do about the source of the problem. I think probably a more sensible tax structure is what we really need, to be perfectly honest. I think that the last 25 years have just been what happens when you don't tax billionaires and money runs amok. I think we need I think that if children had an hour for lunch and a half an hour for recess, and were given healthy food, and their parents weren't worried about health insurance, and their parents were spending time with them, like, that would fix a lot of stuff. So I think that we have a fundamental mismatch in this culture right now with the amount of materialism and money and tax policy. And that's not what you asked me about, but that's what I think that if we had a sensible tax policy where Silicon Valley and every billionaire paid, you know, some kind of minimum tax like they're supposed to, that we would live in something much closer to paradise, and people would have time to be reflective. I think that a lot of the kids who are just putting, 9 hours a day into Instagram are lonely, and their parents are working a million jobs and working a million hours a day. And I think that we should have fixed this 20 years ago, but we didn't fix it 20 years ago, so we can fix it tomorrow.
And on that, I'm afraid this has been wonderful, but we need to conclude our convocation. Thank you once
Thank you,
again, Dara,
everybody.
for being here, and thank all of you for coming.